Masters of the Air, Episode 5. So we'll give our scores first, and then we'll give a spoiler warning before we start talking about spoilers. But do you want to go ahead and give your score for Episode 5 of Masters of the Air?
Sure. Episode 5, I kind of went into this episode, as you knew from the last review, not like I hate the show or anything, but I was disappointed how the last one ended.
Yeah.
But I gotta say, I actually think this episode is the best episode of the whole season. I loved it. Which is crazy to say because of how it ended last week. But the way this one was filmed, the fighting and the camera work and the intensity and the music, even the scenes when they're in the air, fighting, it just felt more intense. Everything about this episode, I loved more. This episode was 50 something minutes long, and I was looking at my wife, I'm like, wow, it already ended.
Yeah.
And I loved the new pilot guy. So much more interesting than freaking Buck or whatever, or Elvis.
Yeah.
I don't know, something about him that was very subtle, and then I can't get into spoilers, so I get later, but honestly, I'd give this one a 9 out of 10. I thought this one was near perfect. I liked it that much.
I am going to agree with you. I thought this was the best episode of the season so far, and I also gave it a 9. It was you're right. It was filmed epically and tragic, and it just had so many emotions. And I thought it was great. My favorite episode so far.
Yeah, we're definitely in the same thoughts and track. But yeah, the way this one was filmed. We'll get into spoilers.
Yeah, so spoilers now. So if you haven't watched it, make sure you go watch it. We highly recommend this episode, and then come on back and hear what we thought about it. Okay, yeah, this was. I feel like this one definitely had the most feels of any of the episode. What about you?
Yeah, just from the start. I mean, so how's it start? It starts with Bucky. Bucky, right? Is it Bucky?
Bucky.
Not Elvis.
Bucky, yeah.
Bucky's kind of just sitting in the plane. I kind of have the episode pulled up. He's sitting in the plane, kind of sulking, and then kind of prepping for the next mission. And it was just weird because they would show the guys packing their stuff, right? And then newcomers coming in.
Yep.
And then they had that little another little party, or I guess. What party was this for?
Or was it just where they were eating? I remember the eating scene.
Maybe they're just out at the bar eating and stuff. But anyways, long story short, is this whole first, I guess it's 10 minutes or so, the build up to go. It felt heavier. And I don't know if it's because Buck or Elvis allegedly is dead.
Yeah.
But it just felt like there was a much more intensity, even with what's his name, Crosley, or is that his name?
Crosby, yeah,
Crosby. How he's being part of the group navigator. The narration, in the background saying it sucks. You know how it has sometimes the episodes will have narration that a summary of characters. Yep. I don't know who does the voiceover narration. Is it always Elvis?
I think it's Crosby most of the time, actually.
Okay, that would make sense.
Yeah,
but anyways, his narration basically saying it sucks because you do all this planning, but once you get up the air, you can't do nothing.
Yeah, you're just there waiting.
Yeah, and he even asks the guy that hired him for this, do you think I'm good for this? And he's like, I don't know. Am I the right choice? Kind of what he mentioned to the head navigator guy. I don't know.
Yeah, that's a really interesting struggle that he's having. I mean, he probably is happy that he's not getting airsick up there, but having to just sit and wait.
Of course, his friend, right? Bubbles is going up.
Yep, we'll get into that. That was sad. One thing I liked about that beginning part was it was a little more subtle. The red light coming on and them seeing it, and you could just kind of see them tense up or get ready, which I read afterward that red light means a mission is being planned and they stop drinking so that they're ready for it. So I can imagine
interesting.
I can imagine seeing that light, you're oh man, something's coming. So I thought that did well to build tension, and that whole beginning part was good to build it up.
Yeah, you're right, the whole beginning is just building up, and then even when they're in the room talking about the mission, he's we've only sent up 17 ships.
Hearing that, I was oh, that's not great. And then they're talking about the new planes. They're not in their normal planes, some of them, and that just shows how much damage those things take.
What did the head guy say, Sergeant, whatever? He's the good news and bad news, it's a short trip. We only got 17 planes.
Yeah.
I don't know if that is good news. And then the thing I thought was interesting, too, was right after that, it shows them kind of getting ready. I don't know the character's name. Bucky's sitting next to a character or a couple of the characters where they're like, should we really be bombing this place? Like it's
Yeah.
like women and children are getting out of church,
Yeah,
all
the
this stuff.
mass.
Yeah, so he's like, they're kind of talking about this, like maybe like we shouldn't be like killing these innocent people. They did, and then Bucky's kind of goes off on him like this is war, buck up, whatever, no pun intended.
Yeah, which is
And
interesting
then,
because the last episode he did a lot of
yeah,
introspection about like bombing and the repercussions. And I feel like
yeah,
if he didn't lose Buck, it would have been different. He would have had a different
yeah.
perspective, but it kind of got washed
It's,
away by losing Buck.
I was just saying, it's actually to me that it's interesting because it makes you think like you're having that kind of inner conflict, right? But realistically, like if something happens to your significant other, I feel like you're not rational. You're just
Yeah.
thinking of like I don't care.
Yep.
So like it felt like that is a human thing to do. Like we were last episode, like you said, we were contemplating and this and that, but it all goes out the door when he loses his best friend. And then the thing that guy said too, when Bucky was kind of going after him, the guy's like, they didn't kill Buck. Like that's what he
Right.
said to him.
Yeah, that's a
And
good line to come back at him to make him think. Yeah.
yeah. And then right after that we had Crosby walk Bubbles out and give him
Yeah.
back.
I had a bad feeling when he gave him that snow globe.
Oh yeah. Oh, and the one thing, the subtle thing I liked too, when Bubbles was leaving, he says, what is he says, well, wish me luck, and she's gone, and she's gonna, and then like, I don't know if you caught it. He said that, and then Crosby's like, what is she gonna? But like that was the name of his ship.
Yeah. That
Yeah.
was funny.
But it was just like a subtle thing. Like they didn't ever mention it again. You just saw that he was on the ship. She
Yeah.
gonna. And then one thing I didn't quite understand, or maybe I just missed the significance of it. What was up with Bucky getting off and then switching out his jacket?
Yeah, I don't know.
I thought like he was going to do like the way I thought he was going to do some sort of scheming thing where he just will hop out of like I don't know why they showed that. Like I'm not sure.
I don't think they've explained it
Unless I
yet,
missed it.
but I have maybe a theory. I don't
What's your
know.
theory?
I wonder if those jackets are more recognizable as American, and he was expecting to be shot down or wanted to be so that he could go after Buck.
So that's what I was thinking, but I thought he was initially just gonna like randomly hop off or desert them or something. That didn't happen. So that's why I was kind of like, because I had thought the same thing. Like, okay, that jacket is way more different, than most jackets. But maybe
Yeah,
that still will come. You're right, because we didn't really see Bucky the last third of the episode after his plane went down.
right.
But yeah, I'm looking at the episode right now. Like it's not until the 20-minute mark where they're up in the air.
It
And
did not feel like it took that long. Like this episode flew by.
oh no, and like even the shots of them flying, like there's something about the way this episode was filmed. Was it a different director this episode?
I don't know. One other thing about this episode is the music. I felt like was
Yeah,
amazing.
the music was great. I'm like, dude, like I'm looking at some shots right now. Like I have it on my TV on my TV in the background, and there's like a scene of like Bucky just looking out to all the other planes with the sun. Like there's something about this episode that just felt more intense.
And yeah, it was directed by different people. The first four were directed by Kari Joji Fukunaga, and then this one was directed by Anna Boden and Ryan Fleck, and they're doing the next one as well. So
oh well, I like this director.
yeah.
And then it shows after it kind of shows him go up in the air, it shows Crosby sitting there. That's kind of what we were talking about earlier, where
Yeah, just waiting.
he's just waiting. And then it shows a freaking awesome shot of they're flying over the ocean. It's just like all these ships, and you can see the exhaust
Yeah.
behind the scale of it. I don't know if you probably. I mean, I'm looking at it right now, so I can describe it.
Yeah, no, I remember that. All the exhaust and then behind. Yeah.
And then all the chaos, and then there's some scenes where there was no music at all and just fighting, and I thought that brought the intensity up.
Definitely.
I mean, so what do you think of the whole from the pretty much the 22-minute mark all the way to the 40-minute mark? It's like almost 25 minutes of just action in the sky. Like, what did you think of that whole 25 minutes in the sky?
It did not feel like 25 minutes. It felt really quick, but it also seemed like there was so much carnage and just bad stuff happening. It also seemed to take forever. Like, I don't know. It was quick because I was entertained, but I was like, oh my goodness, they're just up there just getting destroyed.
Yeah, and some of these deaths, man, my lord.
Yeah, like that guy who tried to parachute out and got caught. That was terrifying.
Yeah.
New fear.
Or there was like a gunner where he like, half his face shot off.
Yeah, that was brutal.
And like the way they were kind of talking in this one, like it felt more emotional than the other episode. Like the dialogue felt different in this one. Like they even before they were fighting, they're kind of cracking more jokes,
Hmm.
kind of like soldiers in Halo or something, you know? Or like
Yeah.
they, I don't know. Then the previous ones when they're in the air, they didn't. I don't know. I mean, I guess they did, but this one it felt. I don't know. There's something about this episode that felt a little different. And then was it Bucky? Or was it Bucky's ship? They had to drop the bombs, but they're trying to wait, or was it the ship
I think that was
in front of them?
Bucky's. Yeah, they dropped. I
Yeah,
think
that's
Bucky's dropped early.
yeah. Bucky's dropped early, but man, so after Bucky's ship went down, we started following the other pilot. Well,
Yeah.
we've been following the other pilot, but man, that scene where it's just like almost that them the single pilot ship versus like a few other ones
Yeah.
was awesome. Like that
So
was my favorite.
to start that, I think it was the shot of just that plane and then just carnage and stuff, just stuff falling out of the sky around them. It was like slow-mo with
Oh,
the music.
so
That was like such a crazy shot. Seeing his flying after that, like it felt like he was dogfighting with this huge ship against these tiny actual meant for dogfighting planes, and
uh-huh.
he did amazing
The way he was
flying.
maneuvering, and
Yeah.
they even did. You're right. They even did another slow mo of like a ship going right past them and
Yeah.
while they're shooting. And then before that, I forgot to mention. I like the scene where Bucky and the other guy were going to hop out, and he's like, "No, you hop out." But the
Yeah,
scene of
that's
Bucky
right.
hopping out and parachuting looked pretty cool. Like I
Yeah,
thought that
it
was a pretty
did.
cool scene too.
It kind of reminded me of like the base jumping in Godzilla or that kind of thing.
Yeah, and I
Like,
like how I was following him,
yeah, that was a really
like a
cool
kind of
shot.
one shot. And then actually, that's it. And then after he falls and lands and gets his parachute, so I'm at the 31-minute mark in the episode.
Yeah, I don't think you
And
see him
there's
again.
nope, there's 25 more minutes, and that's the last time you see Bucky. But yeah, and then after that, of course, is that scene with the last. Well, they drop the bomb, and then
Yep.
they're like, "Where's the rest of the what is it, 307th or whatever?"
Yeah.
And no
And
one's there.
no
And
one is
man,
there.
that was
Yeah.
such a cool. I think that 15 minutes of them fighting off those fighters were like my favorite of the whole series.
Yeah, I agree. That was so engaging and so much fun to watch, even though it was also like, oh man, they're the last ones.
Yeah. Oh, and I'm looking at that shot, like you said, of the single shot into chaos. Man,
Yeah.
and then pretty much so they fight off, what was it, 5 or 6 fighters, and then of course a couple of them get injured. Then you get shown back. So after all that air craziness happened, you get shown back at the base, and they're just waiting. And a little thing I kind of liked too was who's the I don't know the actor's name or the character's name who works on the ships when they land. So he's talking to the kids, right, making jokes, yada yada, like he always does. And they find out that there's only like one plane, and he kind of like he loses his temper with the kids, but not because he's mad at them. It's just a subtle thing.
Yeah. He
Like the
like,
kids wanted to help and stuff, and then like he's like, just go away or whatever. It's the first time you kind of seen him rude to the kids, but it kind of showed like the intensity, like
yeah,
little subtle things like that.
and he knows like the kids should not have to deal with this.
Little things like that. Well, the first a different plane division or whatever landed and said there's no one left, and then the one
The single
the
plane.
one survivor the plane landed. So what do you think about that new pilot guy? Like I like him.
I do too. I
I
think
think
he showed his chops flying that plane, just keeping him alive.
yeah, and then like throughout the last 15 or so minutes of the episode, him kind of like in the background observing things, kind of talking to or like comforting, not comforting, but like kind of being there for his team members, like when they were doing the interrogation. He was already a more interesting character than Buck. And he
Yeah.
hasn't done much as far as like speaking and stuff. At least
Yep.
I think so.
Yeah. He honestly didn't really stand out to me at first, but then after this, I was like, okay, I'm down to follow this guy.
And I think what I like about it too is he's not like I think the Elvis guy is so miscast because I just feel like this guy he's relatively at least to me unknown.
Yeah.
So like I don't know what happened to this guy or his crew, so it feels like more intense in the sense of like they could kill him off, they could not. With Elvis, like I know they quote unquote killed him off, but I never got that feeling with him.
Yeah.
Like he was always safe when he was in the air when we were watching him. And then there's an interrogation scene, which again was another one of the scenes that were like, dang, like because he was
Yeah.
asking him, where
And
is this?
and they just kept saying no record, no record,
Yeah, no,
no record.
no record.
Yep, that
And then it
was
gets
rough.
Bubbles, right? She's gonna, and no record, and you can see
Crosby.
Crosby's face. And that's another scene we haven't got to after this interrogation scene is Crosby cleaning that out.
And
God,
seeing the
and
letter.
again, I'm going a little fast, but another subtle thing, like this is what this episode did so good, is it showed all the interrogation stations, and they're only using one.
Yeah.
Like it goes to show, like normally there's like
Um,
10, 15 tables of interrogations.
yeah, we saw a little bit of it in other episodes, and it used to be like
Mhm.
chaos and just a ton of noise, and you couldn't
Uh-huh.
really tell what was going on. And this one, it's just one table and a lot of people being really sad and like
It's just yeah, and
hopeless.
then back to like the Crosby scene. A lot of them are packing up the
Yep.
lost ones things, and then Crosby finds the letter that Bubbles was gonna send out to his wife when he thought Crosby was dead in the last episode. And of course, him reading that was very, very sad.
Yes,
Probably
that.
one of the saddest scenes in the whole series.
Yeah, I agree. I definitely
Uh,
choked up a few times during that.
yeah, that was pretty much saying like, I wish it was me. You're a better pilot than me. You don't want to admit it. You're such a good man. Like all that kind of stuff. I'm like,
Yeah.
oh gosh. And we know Bubbles is dead because that shit blew up.
Yeah, there's no question about that
No
one.
parachutes. But yeah, that's like we saw that. There's no ifs, ands, or buts. And then that's how it ends. It ends on that letter.
Yep. I thought that
I
was
was
a
like,
great ending to like cap off a heartbreaking episode.
yeah, like man, such a good like I'm telling you, man, that near perfect.
I'm curious where we'll go next, because like
Yeah,
I want to know what happens to Bucky, but I feel like they're staying away from too much of the on the ground in Germany. We do see some of the Belgium stuff, but like we don't really see much in
yeah, they're
Germany.
not surprised. Well, kind of surprising, but not. We're not seeing any ground war at all, pretty
Mm-mm.
much. What 6, 7, 8, 9? So we still have 5 more episodes.
True. Yeah.
Wow, that's crazy. We're only halfway.
Yeah. And
So maybe
there's only one group left. It'll be interesting to see the newcomers that they bring in.
would that so maybe the next few episodes will focus on that newcomer crew, which I think would be, to be honest, I think that'd be interesting. I'm down to watch a couple
Yeah.
episodes of this new crew and the new pilot,
And I know
and then Crosby, of course.
in some of the promotional materials they show the Tuskegee Airmen, so I wonder when they're going to show up too
Yeah, I feel like the next episode or two maybe we'll just more so focus on
at
like
base
Crosby
and new
and that
people.
yeah, and then maybe they'll go back to Bucky in the last couple episodes. I'm not sure.
I wonder if we'll
That is
see their point of view or if we'll just see like the end and then maybe
like them finding
flashbacks.
them or something.
Yeah, and them talking
Or
about
like
it.
maybe that's a good question actually, because I mean, there really is no guarantee we'll actually see that stuff down there. All I know is this episode for me, like this is what I expected the first. Not that the other episodes are bad, but to me, this episode is on par to like the battles in Band of Brothers. Like this is the
Okay.
intensity that I feel in the other show. Obviously, it's different because Band of Brothers is like ground war, but just the intensity side of it.
Yeah, it was definitely intense.
I was excited to talk about this episode.
Yeah, I love this episode. It makes me so excited for the rest of it too, especially knowing the next episode's directed by the same people.
I know. Yeah, seriously, that makes me excited too. Because man, are they directing any more of the episodes? Just
No,
these
I
two?
think it's just these two. And then it's different people for 7 and 8. It's a Dee Reese for 7 and 8 and Tim Van Patten for 9.
What about 10?
It doesn't show 10 on here. So it may not be released who's doing 10.
Maybe it'll be like Steven Spielberg or something. I think he like produced the show, doesn't he?
Yeah, he's a producer or something. Yeah.
That'd be pretty sweet. Yeah, that's pretty much all I got. I dig it. This put it back on track for me. I think I gave the last one was 6.
Yeah.
So this put it back on track for me, man. This episode,
Yeah.
when we turned this episode off, Karen and I, this is the first episode where we're like, dang, that was good.
It definitely was on another level.
Yeah. Again, not that I'm saying the other episodes are bad, but yeah, like
Yeah.
it's a good way to put it. It was on another level. Yeah.
Yep.